Yo, it's your homeboy Kiiro in the building. Welcome to episode 72 of my One Piece discussion series. First of all, in this episode, we're gonna cover One Piece chapter 757. I'm gonna review it, and so before we continue, first of all, I'd like to apologize if my video came out kind of late. I actually read this chapter pretty early in the morning, but I was intending to release it later, much later in the day, when most other people would have released their own reviews. Let me know if you prefer that format, so I'll be doing that in future, or whether you want me to release my review as early as possible. Let me know what you prefer. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So let's start the video. So as usual, I'm gonna do a chapter review, and then I'm gonna do discussion afterwards. So chapter review first of all. 757, a very peculiar number. It's pretty much a mirror of itself, and as usual, when it's a peculiar number, or at least in Oda's opinion, he usually goes ham, and this chapter was nothing short of ham. This is probably the second or the third best chapter this year. Definitely the best chapter we've had since we started this whole fiasco of climbing to reach Doflamingo. There was comedy, a little bit, not too much, but if you're a Bartolomeo fan, you're gonna like it a lot. There was action. We had feats. There was important information on character ability, and most importantly, there was progression. So it wasn't just a chapter full of feats and all that, but there's no actual progression. There was progression at the end of the day, and that's what really makes this chapter a masterpiece. But so that's pretty much my review. Very good chapter, very very good. And moving on with the discussion. Second reminder, I'm gonna do a third one like towards the end of the video. Sorry, but this is actually kind of important. Would you guys like me to release my videos as soon as they're available, or do you prefer if I release them a little later in the day, so they don't really so you don't miss them, because maybe you're subscribed to a bunch of different reviewers, and usually when someone releases their video early, it's going to end up at the bottom of your subscription box, and once you finish watching like the first a few videos, you might kind of get lazy and not watch the rest, or simply not have any more time and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, let me know what you guys think, or what you guys want concerning when I release my videos, my chapter reviews, at least as soon as possible, or do you prefer sort of delay, sort of like how King Lightning does his? He's almost like the last person to release his stuff weekly. So starting the discussion, as usual, I'm going to cover things that I found interesting in this chapter. So first of all, we have a feat for Bartolomeo. He has some nice versatility with his fruit, so not just making very basic shapes like round barriers or completely flat barriers, but he can actually make things as complex as stairs. So that's a really nice feat for Bartolomeo. Very interesting. Well, not that interesting, but interesting nonetheless. And this has opened a bunch of possibilities for Bartolomeo's powers. Obviously, it's incorrect to just assume he can't do it, but saying that he can do it, sort of confirms people's beliefs, and they can go a bit further when thinking about stuff concerning Bartolomeo. Next, we have Robin and Gladius. Their fight has been set up. Robin looks like she's about to go beast mode. That's completely crazy. Not much else to say concerning that, but she's brought out the big hand, so she's not playing, and I'm really interested to see what Robin's gonna do, because obviously she isn't gonna like one shot him or anything, and at the same time, I want to see what Gladius is gonna do against Robin. Because Oda's gonna make it an actual fight. It's not gonna be one-sided either way. Although we know that Robin's gonna win. Next is the Fuji and Sabo fight. Now, we only get one page for 2 pages, but we don't get much concerning this fight, but we get a lot more than we've gotten in a while. Usually we just get like one mini panel or something, but we got a lot of stuff in comparison in this chapter. First of all, there's something I like to say. This doesn't concern basically, before the fight actually starts, we see the Marines running from Sabo's sort of flame explosion, and they're like, this isn't even on Straw Hat's level. Now, this could be an early translation thing, but even then, I really don't think the later translations are going to be that far apart from what this is saying, and this just confirms that Sabo's on another level. Not a surprise to many, but it is important because we do have, fanboys, especially Luffy fanboys, that say that Luffy's stronger than Sabo, which I highly doubt. And yeah, just wanted to point that out. Now let's start with the Fujitora and Sabo greatness. Sabo, we don't really see anything new from him except for the explosion that I just talked about. We see it from a distance, but yeah, it's pretty damn big. So Sabo's really going ham with the Mera. But the real star of this fight, and arguably the star of the chapter, is Fujitora. So first of all, he names, when like in anime it's very common for you to name an attack and all that. So he says Gravi Sword, or gravity sword, depending on what translation you're reading, but it's basically the same thing. So he is implying that his sword is the source of his power. He didn't eat a devil fruit. Usually, if you eat a devil fruit, you say the name of the devil fruit. So he would have said something like "Gravi no Mi" or whatever the Japanese equivalent is. You know what I'm saying? He didn't say that. He just said gravity sword. And I've thought about this for a while. It's never been confirmed that he has a devil fruit. He seems to be from Wano Kuni. I mean, he has a whole sort of oriental getup, and I really believe that it's a technique. I don't think it's a devil fruit, and I don't think the power lies simply within the sword. That is to say, if Zoro should get Fujitori's sword, I don't think Zoro will be able to use gravity abilities. Same thing with Usopp. If Usopp stole Fujitori's sword, that wouldn't make him Fujitora all of a sudden. And the reason why I say this, or why I have this in the back of my mind, is because Kinemon, well, the conversation we had between Zoro and Kinemon back in Punk Hazard implied that Zoro could learn his Kinemon's fire techniques. Well, it didn't directly imply that. It implied that Zoro wanted to learn it, but I don't really think Oda would tease people in that manner, because I really see this as a possibility. Then again, I could be wrong. It could simply be the sword, but we'll just have to wait and see, because I guess like in Kanjiro's case, it would really seem like it has something to do with his paintbrush thing, but it could simply be the fact that it's hard to draw with a sword. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I guess we'll just have to wait and see whether it is in fact from the sword or whether it's an actual technique. But I maintain that it's not a devil fruit. In fact, it is the sorcery or whatever it's called that they're using in Wano Kuni. When the anime comes out, we will get a confirmation on what this junk is called. Pardon the background noise there. Yeah, so that's really interesting. Second thing, he does a sort of horizontal slash called Ferocious Tiger. Now the name isn't that important. I mean, it does have tiger in it, which is kind of cool. But the important thing is that it's horizontal. It's not up or down like gravity or anti-gravity. So that means that his thing is his gravity ability, quote unquote, is closer to a sort of a pain type of situation. Pain from Naruto, or if you don't read Naruto, think of the Force from Star Wars. Well, the Force is kind of different because it's more of telekinesis, so it's a lot more flexible. But basically, Fujitora can push things or pull things. That's all you really need to know. And it's a sort of force, a pushing force or a pulling force. He doesn't just directly pull or push whatever he wants. That's more of telekinesis. But yeah, it's a pushing force or a pulling force depending on what Fujitora wants and the way he uses his swords. So that's been confirmed in this chapter, and it's pretty interesting. This just makes him even more hacked, because beating gravity is really, really hard. And now we know he can do it sideways. Fujitora is just on another level. I'm sorry, but Akainu, I don't see what's gonna do against Fujitora. I guess we'll have to wait and see. When I talk about the next part, you get where I'm coming from. Sorry, I might seem a bit fast, but I don't want this video to reach like 15 minutes or anything, because I do have a lot to say. Not much more, just one or two more things concerning this fight, and then one more thing, and then the video is over. But yeah, next thing is Sabo. The dialogue between Sabo and Fujitora strongly implies that Fujitora is stalling, and furthermore, it is implied that Fujitora is stalling because he has an attack that he wants to do. And I quote, I'm not going to give a direct quote, but he says something along the lines of, whether I roll a 1 or an 8, that will decide whether we lose or not. And he says we. Oh, sorry, that's not what he says. He says, again, this isn't a direct quote. He says something along the lines of, what will it be? Will it be a 1 or an 8? So he's basically saying, what is he going to get when he quote unquote rolls this dice? So that's some sort of ability he's about to use that involves a sort of gamble. And we know that Fujitora is a gambler. Which is pretty interesting, because that sort of extends to the character that Fujitora is based on. And he then says that if they lose the rolling dice, like if the gamble fails, though he says that he's willing to bet his life on it, and if they lose, that only God can save them, basically, like God help us all, that type of thing. So I'm thinking that he's about to do an attack, and the attack could reach any amount of power. And depending on what the dice rolls, that will determine the power. So if the attack is too strong, it's going to kill everybody, including Fujitora. Because think about it, this man's been casually summoning meteors down. So if he does like his strongest attack to the entire Dressrosa Island, everybody, including himself, is probably going to be, deep inside the water. And you're going to be so deep that you literally can't even dream of swimming out. Like everybody's gonna drown before they reach the surface. It's going to be that type of thing. And it's pretty ridiculous. So yeah, it's all up to God, and I'm really hyped to see how strong this attack is going to be. My prediction is Fujitora is going to use the weakest version of this attack, but it's still going to be crazy. And then it's going to sort of create a situation where we're going to be like, oh, so what if he did the strongest version? That's what's going to happen. That's what I see That's my prediction, at least. Final thing that happened in the chapter that's important, or at least I think is noteworthy or worth talking about, is that Law's handcuffs are free, and this is big. This is huge. I thought his handcuffs will come out a lot later, but no. However, even though it seems like we're going to see Doflamingo next chapter, which we probably will, Law and Luffy are not going to fight him next chapter. Now, Treble and Bellamy aren't the biggest threats in the world, but also Oda has a lot of stuff to cover that he didn't cover in this chapter. So he's going to cover King Riku, God Usopp, Sugar, Mon Cherie, maybe a bit more of the Frankie fight, that kind of stuff. So don't be too excited. However, next chapter is gonna be what, 758, so that means 759 and 760. We can really expect some good chapters from those two. Especially chapters that end with 0. Almost always fantastic chapters. So yeah. I'm really looking forward to. Well, I'm not really looking forward to next chapter because, like I said, I really don't think it's gonna be that good. But anyway, that's for a different video. I've said all the important stuff. Once again, don't forget. Let me know whether you want me to release my videos ASAP or whether you prefer a sort of delay, so I don't really crowd your subscription box. Thanks for chilling all the way to the end. I know there's been troublesome. I've said a lot of stuff, but I appreciate that you guys stuck to the end. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And as always, thank you guys for watching.